Welcome to class number 21. Okay, so most of these weeks we should be able to, last couple of weeks we've been able to do a whole sugya each week. Same thing, today we have a tiny sugya. And it'll be a good opportunity to see how some of the skills that we have, we can just go ahead with a little tiny sugya and run through it. We are still discussing, let me give context. Everything we've been doing for the last, several months is all based on the 5 or actually 6 in a Braita, a Tanakh source we saw on the previous page that details 5 or 6 obligations that fathers have towards their sons. Okay, so anyone remember what they are? Brit Milah. Pidyo haben, correct? You could also just look at it. You don't have to do it from memory. I don't believe in memorizing. Teaching it to swim is like the 6th, right? The slash. That's like in there. Some would come and say also to swim.
Trade.
Give them some kind of trade, correct?
Torah.
What?
Torah.
Sorry? Teach them Torah, correct? Come on, you all are going to have to do this pretty soon. Well, you not so soon. You sooner,
Marriage.
you sooner. What?
Marriage?
Marriage, yeah, to marry your kid off.
Not that soon.
What? Well, sooner than him, so. Sorry. Okay.
I have 2 more.
What?
I have 2 more.
You have tomorrow.
2 more to marry.
2 more. Be'ezrat Hashem. Okay. Then you said tomorrow. I'm like, whoa. That's dedication. Coming in right before you marry off your kids. Okay. So we already saw the Gemara then continued on to come and say, okay, so, and from this is the previous page. Okay, so let's start with the first one. From where do we know that a father is obligated to do a brit milah to his son? And then the Gemara asked, and from where do we know that a woman is exempt from it? Good, we learned that. Then it went on to talk about Pidyo haben. From where do we know that a father is obligated to do Pidyo haben? Good. And from where do we know that a woman is exempt? Good. And now we're in this big parentheses. It brought up a few different, since we're already on the topic of Pidyo haben, started talking about, okay, if a person has to do Pidyo haben both for himself and to his son, who's first, right? And we saw that discussion. And then we saw another discussion, which was a discussion that we saw two weeks ago, which was a person has 2 other conflicting mitzvot. Now, first we talked about 2 conflicting mitzvot. I have to redeem my son, but also I have an obligation to redeem myself. Which comes first? We saw a very interesting discussion over there. We saw the la plug structure, okay, which was a bit of a complex structure, but we took a look at it and we broke it down. And then we saw a debate between 2 other conflicting mitzvot, which were a person has to do Pidyon haben, but he also at the same time has to go to do Aliyah L'Regel, the mitzvah of going up during one of the 3 holidays, one of the Shlosh Regalim, to go up to Beit HaMikdash. And that's the Gemara that we saw 2 weeks ago. And we saw also a machloket between Rabbi Yehuda and Chachamim, and we saw also we spoke a little bit at the end about the deeper thing that might be going on here, which is is it the focus on the family versus a focus on the national level? Or we saw maybe also there might be about a matter of, you have to redeem your son because it's an obligation to the Kohen. So, but instead of redeeming your son, you're going to the Kohen, first, it's a little hypocritical. You're coming to the Kohen to ask him to do something for you, or to bring a korban, but you owe something to the Kohen first. You have to redeem your son. So it's kind of like right. So
Give and take.
what? It's like give and take. It's a little bit of a chutzpah.
Yeah.
It's like you're coming here to ask me to give a korban for you. Excuse me, you have some other obligation here. First, you have to give me something for your son. You have to redeem your son. So we talked about the fact that the son was supposed to be serving the Beit HaMikdash, whatever. Okay, so we spoke about that a little bit. And now we have a new little tiny sugya. So if you look on page on Kaftet Amud Bet, and you look at the Tanu Rabbanan, okay, Tafresh, Tanu Rabbanan, which is, let's see, if you go about a quarter way or about a third way down the Gemara, the first word of the page, of the line, you see it, Tafresh, the little star next to it. No, further down. Further down. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16 rows down. Okay, you see it? 16 rows down.
Yep.
Tanu Rabbanan.
Cute.
Okay, I got it. What's the next word? Minayin.
Yes. Wait a minute. You got it? Israel, you got it?
Yes.
No.
Yeah. Tanu Rabbanan.
Huh. Well, that's because you're using a... Oh, both of you. It's in the wrong spot. Okay, whatever. Okay. Never mind. Okay. So, that's where we're starting from. Anyone want to take a guess until where this little sugya goes?
To the 2 dots.
Correct. Right? So the 2 dots, it says Kuf Mem Lamed. It's about 4 rows down.
Yep.
That's our sugya. Small, cute, innocent. Okay. So I'm sorry that I was not able to photocopy, but I did give you the page that I was going to print, and I will give to you next week. Hopefully, this is the page. So if you guys if you have your own pieces of paper, if not, I have extra paper or in pens.
There.
Yes, I
I
do.
also need a pen, sorry.
Just a second. Anyone need a piece of paper?
Oh, yes, please. Oh, no, actually,
What you have? Okay. What?
I'll write it.
You sure? Okay. So yeah, you could just show. Okay. So what we're doing is what we always do. You're going through the Gemara. The first thing we're doing is you are not trying to understand the Gemara yet. The first thing we're doing is trying to identify function words. Okay, and so first and I have some translations of some new words or some words that would be important to help us figure it out. But first, you're going and we're circling or we're writing down or we're marking words which we think better. If anyone wants a pencil, I also have pencils right here.
Pencil, please.
Yeah. Okay. Here it is. Here.
Thanks.
Pencils of sorts. Okay. So, So what we're doing is you're writing down. It works.
Okay.
Yeah, they all have. It's mechanical pencils.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going through it. You're looking for function words, or let's remind ourselves. Function word is a word that the word itself indicates what the Gemara is about to do. First thing you want to do is you want to figure out what the stages of the Gemara are. Okay, and then after we do that, and it shouldn't take more than a couple minutes. It's really not a long Gemara. There aren't too many. As you can see, you have kind of a cheat sheet here, which is there 5 stages that I've already identified based on these 5 lines. I think I'm not always right. My students quite often disagree with me, and sometimes I find them to be more accurate. I think that there are 5 stages here. So go ahead and give it a shot, and chavruta, and then.
Function words. Okay. My son
What?
my function words. Blame him. He never returned it.
Yeah, I've got some.
Now you can function.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're starting at Tanu Rabbanan, Minyan, She'em, Yud,
It's not minyan. It's minayin.
Minayin.
Okay.
Tanu Rabbanan.
Okay,
That's
so
what I
we're
say.
looking
That's
all
not
these
that's a number.
function words.
Minayin?
So it is
It's a
to see if
number.
it's a
They
yeah.
said something, right?
Shuba.
Yeah, Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbi just said,
So that's a number. They're about to
it's
say something.
a statement, yeah?
Yeah.
How are we doing?
She'im, Iyu, Lo,
Okay, this is a question, obviously.
Okay.
This is how I understand.
Benim.
That's true.
Chamisha,
Agree or not agree?
Mechamesh,
Well,
Nashim.
it says
Wow.
Minayin. from where,
It by-
so it
it
does seem to be a
sounds
question.
by you.
Okay. Why do you sound like you're not sure?
I mean, from where to
Because
him,
it actually starts
if
off with
you, there was in
Tanu Rabbanan.
Which means what?
So the rabbis teach.
Okay.
Must be Mormon.
So what is your what are you not sure about?
Yeah, so you would almost expect a name of course. The rabbis teach something.
You would.
Yeah, but
What's the Talmud
nothing
Lama?
comes
What
of
does it
it. It just says
Well, now, what are the? You're right. You're right. When you see the word Tanu Rabbanan, it makes sense because the words Tanu Rabbanan mean. Words Tanu Rabbanan mean the rabbis taught. Usually,
hold on.
that is an opening to a
Minayin
statement.
isn't Minayin.
But what do the words themselves mean?
Question.
Do the words themselves indicate a statement? It says the rabbis taught,
from where?
and it's going to quote something that the rabbis taught or discussed or something. Okay? Do the words the rabbis taught necessarily indicate a statement?
it doesn't.
Doesn't necessarily. It usually will be followed by a statement. But the words themselves do not. What about but the word minayin?
Yeah.
It's a question.
Absolutely
maybe
indicates.
it's the start of a huge
Not, so you would have it like, I'm not sure. One, the word itself, again, functionally, we define the function of the word, from a word. The word itself makes it obvious, makes it unequivocally, or almost
You have to
almost certain what's about to happen there.
No, it goes after the
it's just
wife.
we've gotten very, very
Now it's going to
accustomed
give the teshuva.
to the fact that Tanu Rabbanan is a statement the rabbis taught. The rabbis
That is a
usually
question,
the
it's
quote
not,
when
that's
the
a
Gemara
question,
quotes
it's not a main
an source. Usually it's quoting something definitive.
Yeah.
Very rarely
Talmud
does it need to, because the Tanaim, the Tanaic sources usually are just teaching us things. And they usually won't start off with a question. Because why would I be quoting? Why I, the rabbi of the Gemara, why would I be quoting a question?
Your son, the firstborn, your sons, you should.
Makes sense. I want to quote something that we don't know, and something informative. Here's something that we did not know. Here's something that's bringing us to discussion. So it doesn't make so much. It's not very common, but it's not.
No, I don't think it's a function.
So normally you have
Isn't it obvious?
something
Correct.
So
Usually,
where do you know this?
correct. So you're right.
Yes. So then where does this come afterwards?
Right. So usually, you're right. You're right. That usually a question is going to be based on something that was brought previously. So it could be. Okay. That let's leave that. We'll answer that together because I think there's two possible answers which I think will be worthwhile to discuss, which is not in the Gemara. That's what I call second level thinking, where the Gemara itself, the Gemara is saying, wait a second, but this is strange. What are they asking it on? Usually someone says something and someone says, okay, I need more information. What is it based on? There's nothing that comes first. You're right.
Okay.
And we'll discuss it. Okay?
And then I think there comes a question.
So usually, not usually, always,
means you're not.
you have to figure out where the question ends and where the answer begins. So what do we think?
I don't know. Okay.
So you're missing a word here, okay? That's going to make a difference. Okay, Taf Lamed means Talmud Lomar, which is from this we say or from this we learn.
Oh, actually,
Are you learned it already? So this is a word that we've seen it. Okay?
What is this?
Hashem made it. Hold on.
Right, so it says like from this we learn, and it goes to the following statement: Talmud Lomar, and then Kol b'chol banecha tivdeh. Okay, so just work through it. How we doing? Oh, sorry.
Pshita now. Hello, Rachamana.
Tala Rachmana. Tala.
Sorry, Tan.
Tala. Tala is the word litlot, which is to hang
What's the
something.
peter? But peter is separation. Or?
Peter
Isn't
is.
this obvious?
See, on my sheet I translated it, but I wasn't moving. So peter. It's taken from the pasuk. Oh, you know what? You reminded me. Thank you. I have to add on 2 psukim here, without which you will pretty much be lost. Second.
No, okay. First is the question, second is the answer, and then is the proof. There is the proof because Hashem made this.
Just a second. Here. Alex, can
Pshita,
you...
isn't it obvious?
Yeah.
It's on the
Just a second.
And so that would be a raya, you say?
Pshita, the second
Here,
one.
can you please read
Pshita, isn't it
these two
obvious?
psukim for me?
Okay.
כל בחור בניך תבדל.
Continue.
Kol
Yeah,
Bechor.
Pshita would be something.
Banecha Tifdeh, which is taken from
ולא יראו.
Shmot Yudbet.
Pshita.
Shmot what?
שמות ל"ד כ'. ל"ד קומה כ'.
And the next one?
קדש לי כל בחור.
Kadesh
בחור.
Li Kol
Yes, is that?
Bechor.
פטר כל רחם. בבני
השם
ישראל.
Peter Kol Rechem.
Okay.
What's
what's the quote? שמות י"ג קומה בית.
Okay.
You were right with the womb.
The worm?
I think it's a word.
Oh, okay.
So Peter Kol Rechem is like the first fruit of the womb. Okay? Okay. How are we doing?
Okay, the first one question, second one is the answer, and then I think it's
Pshita isn't this
it's,
obvious?
proof.
Kushya.
It's a proof. What word here would indicate a proof?
Hashem made it.
No, what word would indicate it's a proof? I needed to go against your nature, Galana, and not try to understand all the words. I need you. We need to find words that, just like the word minayin. I don't need you to know what is being asked, but the moment you say the word minayin, you know there's a question.
Maybe Petrachim is the
And
word.
then I want you to find, okay, where does the question end? I don't need to know at this point. We don't need to know what is being asked. We just want to figure out where the question ends.
Hashem made it dependent on the womb. Maybe
Hashem made it dependent on?
on the
Either
womb. Maybe it's just
is actually given
Right.
by
Kol b'chor b'nechet tivdeh.
or
Hashem made it
it is
dependent on the
logical.
womb.
So I mean, Pshita.
Pshita
Which is doing what?
But then it's saying ma.
What are you saying the Pshita is?
Giving a raya.
What?
What is
Giving
the reason?
Oh, let's look at the
What
phrase.
is ma?
The word Pshita means, isn't this obvious?
Yes.
What does that sound
So
like?
you would have
It
said.
might even
So
be a tshuva.
What? A tshuva.
It might even be.
Well, we just gave it
would have
tshuva.
said.
so what is that? Is
What
that
would be the types of things
That's
that would
another
follow a
functional
tshuva?
one, maybe.
It is.
What would, logically speaking, in a discussion, what would follow an answer? Someone asks a question, which the purpose of the question is to gather more information, someone answers. So a kushya or a raya, right? You're right that sometimes after an answer, someone might have to back it up to prove that you're right. Or another memra. Sometimes we've seen this also, that if someone asks a question, someone answered, okay, let's go on to something new, and you're right, also sometimes will be a kushya.
The
Okay?
first
Which is it? Because usually when I ask a question, it's usually not really innocent. Because I'm missing information. Once you answer me, well, now that I have a problem.
Okay.
Now, the phrase, isn't this obvious? What does that sound like? The phrase, I ask you a question, you answer, and I say, well, isn't this obvious?
I think it's
We
a
should
kushya.
learn.
You are absolutely right. Pshita is a kushya based, we said kushya. Will always be based either on, right? Kushya is always a hidden statement of, you are wrong. Okay? It's not just saying those words, but that's what it's meaning to say. And when I say you are wrong, I don't get just to say you're wrong, I have to back it up. Either by a source that proves you are wrong, or by a logic, a statement of logic that says what he's saying doesn't make sense. So the phrase pshita,
Maybe this is
which is a new word for us,
proof.
is a kushya that comes and says, what you just told me, what you just taught me, is obvious. And therefore, you didn't need to say it. Like, why are you saying this? Okay? It cannot be that you're saying this for the reason you're saying it. Because it is too obvious. Okay?
Okay.
Now, sometimes Pshita will be on its own, but sometimes it will explain why it's obvious. So that's what's happening here. So, continue. Let's see, just a second. Where is it? Okay. Now again, you're going to need some of these words here. Okay? To figure out the next stage. Nah, too late. Hopefully they can hear me. Okay.
Is what is.
What does it sound like?
Right.
You would have said
Is it a raya?
a proof. The phrase you would have said. What you think it was proving something?
No,
It's a kushia, no?
What?
Kushia? It's an attack.
What is the previous
Where is
stage?
the end of the
the
question?
previous stage was also kushia.
But if
Okay.
it's
So could there be a kushia after a kushia? The only case we'd have a kushia after a kushia is if it's actually part of the same long kushia.
So maybe it is.
What? Maybe. Maybe.
But it's not a teretz.
Kushia,
Why not?
teretz
What is the kushia?
removes the kushia.
The kushia is
Remember, we said every kushia is based either as a hidden statement of you are wrong.
yeah.
I don't get to say you are wrong without backing up my statement either by a source proving that you're wrong
Right.
or logic. What is this? Is this a kushia based on a source or is this a kushia based on logic?
Logic.
Correct. What is the logical attack? What you're saying is unnecessary. It is obvious. Pshita. It is obvious. So why are you saying? What are you actually trying to teach me? It can't be that this is what you're trying to teach me. It's obvious. It doesn't need to be said even.
Okay.
Okay. And now look at the phrase Ma'odetema.
Yes.
So what is?
That's teretz.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not obvious.
Rebuttal.
Because if I wouldn't have told you it, you would have said or you would have thought da 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 da. That's why I needed to teach you it. Okay. Again, these are new words for us, new structures. Okay. And okay,
So that's
Pshita.
teretz.
Absolutely. Pshita.
You see, but looking at the word itself, only mahu, I would have thought it was a shade.
So it really goes together. Ma'odetema.
You have to use it together.
Ma'odetema. What you would have said is this. That's why it's not obvious. Because remember, a teretz, all the teretz is saying, you're so sure I'm wrong? I'm not necessarily wrong. Because you're so sure. I don't need to prove that I'm right. All I need to do is to prove that the thing that makes you convinced that I'm so wrong isn't necessarily the case. You say, well, it's not so obvious. Because if I wouldn't have told you it, you would have thought the following thing. And that's why I had to tell you this, to teach you that that's not the case. Okay?
So it's not really always a rebuttal.
No.
Right?
No. You're right. You are absolutely right. A teretz is not a rebuttal. That's why I don't use that word rebuttal. It's just that's what the way we translate it is there's an attack and there's a removal of the attack.
Right.
The teretz doesn't necessarily, sometimes it does, but it doesn't necessarily prove, or many times it's not trying to prove the original statement. All it's trying to do is to prove you're so sure I'm wrong. Here's the hole in you are so sure that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
There's a problem with basically it's almost like it's attacking the attack. It's saying, it's impossible to say that. No, it could be that it is possible to say it. If I can show one possibility of why it might be true, then I've removed the attack, and I'm back to having my original statement, which is now perfectly fine. Okay. Or sometimes it's a little. I now understand it to being okay. We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Okay, I would like to officially thank Alex for being the first person ever to take advantage of what I ever, This time I was thinking about each week I've been putting less things on the table. So this week I thought maybe I'll just put just a jug of water without any glasses. Let's see, maybe no one would even notice. Next time I'd put an empty jug of water. Okay. Amen. Okay, where are we?
Okay, so I think the next one is actually ma lehala. And I'm saying that would be a tshuva.
Second.
I might be wrong.
Okay, I think we're going to stop here. let's try to bring it together. Let me just check something. How much time we have? Okay. Let's start off, because I have a few words here that are a little new to us and a little difficult, even though it's a very small and relatively simple sugya. There's some words in it which are very new to us, and some very small but structures that are new to us.
Sorry.
What?
I think it's Nela.
Okay, so let's start off just by identifying our function words. So, what was the first one? What's the first one?
Yeah.
Anyone want to give other options?
Rebuttal.
Okay, so you say, okay, no. Let's write Tanu Rabbanan. I'm just going to write it in little, okay? That's right.
Oh, is that one of those flips where...
Wait, Tanu Rabbanan. What stage is it? Okay, you've lost your confidence. Go ahead. What
statement?
What?
Statement.
Okay.
Sounds like it's about to be a statement.
Okay, sounds like... Oh, Gary's playing it safe. Sounds like it's going to be. Sounds like it's going to be a statement. Okay.
Well, that's how we started, and then we saw the next word. Okay, which is
Okay.
nine.
And therefore...
That's a question.
Okay, so based on that, does it make sense to say that Tanu Rabbanan is a statement?
No.
No, not really. Because then what is it saying? All you've said is the rabbis taught. So how can you possibly be asking a question on the phrase the rabbis taught? You haven't said anything yet. So now we have a conflict. We're not sure. Is Tanu Rabbanan what we go by and saying it's a statement that for some reason it has the word minayin in it, or is it a question that's predicated by the word Tanu Rabbanan? So, which one do you think it is? You know the answer already. Which one do you think it is?
It's a question or it's a flip of words, right?
Okay.
So
Let's think. Which one of those words is more definitively what we like to call again a function word? What does the phrase Tanu Rabbanan actually mean?
The rabbis have taught.
The rabbis have taught. Okay. Does that on its own indicate one of the 7 stages?
Yeah.
Does it?
Could.
Why? Which one? Not
Proof.
could. Does it? What?
Right.
Proof. Why?
Right.
Why? Think
Because-
again. It is not. Think logically in English. The rabbis taught. Could they have taught us a question?
No.
Why not?
Yes.
Why could they not have taught us a question?
They usually teach
With
us.
an answer.
You're right. What did they say?
They usually.
They usually teach us because it makes
something.
Yes, they usually come and just share. Usually, you're right. 90% of the time, probably even more than that, Tanu Rabbanan will introduce a memra. Will introduce something new. Someone stands up. Remember, it's a recording of a live conversations that took place in the Bet Midrash. Someone stood up and said, "I would like to repeat what I learned that the rabbis said," and they. In a situation where a father did not circumcise his son, the Beit Din must circumcise him because the pasuk says the following. And then another guy stands up, or the same guy stands up, and I have also something the rabbis said, which is it, right? Usually, you're right, statement. Usually. Over here we have a case where that's not the case, or that the rabbis have taught something, but they've used the mechanism of a question. Okay? So Tanu Rabbanan on its own does not indicate a stage. It just says, all it's really telling us is about to be a quote from a Tanaic source. On its own, I don't know what that Tanaic source is trying to do, as far as from the 7 stages. You're right, 98% of the time you could assume it's just introducing something that will then become the basis of a discussion. Not this case. Okay? So, what is the actual function word?
Shayla.
Right?
Not minayin.
Minayin. Which is? Next. So now, what are we going to look for?
So is the right English would be the rabbis have asked?
No, because the word Tanu Rabbanan actually literally means the rabbis repeated. Right? Tanu from the word lishnot, which is like vishinantam levanecha. Lishnot is from like the word this is going back to like our first or second class, from the word, let's say the word shana. What does the word shana mean?
So why it cannot be proved?
We're saying, what does the word shana mean?
It means
repetition.
What is the actual word shana? A year. Why is a year called shana? Because it repeats itself, right? Shana. Okay?
It also means different. Right?
Shone. Right. Shone means different. So there's a lot of discussion, like relationship between how is it that the same word could mean. There's a lot of words in Hebrew like that where with this very slight difference you have the exact opposite word.
I have a question. Why Tana Rabbanan cannot be proof?
Proof of what?
Something that comes from door to door to door, and it's just the proof. This is how it.
Proof of what?
Of whatever they are talking about.
It would be like no, but they're not talking about anything.
We don't know what they're talking about yet.
They haven't talked about anything yet. They haven't said anything yet. That would be
in
like
this particular case, it's just.
That would be like. It would be
We're
like.
talking about this one.
It would be like walking up to you and say, and first thing I said to you, you walked into my house and I'd say, and I'm going to prove it to you. Like, what are you talking about? Right? Meaning, I have to say something for you, and then after I've said something, sometimes I'll say something. I'll say, you're just on time, and I'll prove it to you. Look, or I don't know, something like But I can't just prove to you. What am I proving? Or I can attack you. I can give an attack and prove to you and say and prove to you that you are wrong about something. But I can't just arbitrarily prove nothing. Meaning prove.
Okay.
Proof means I need to substantiate something. I have to have a thing to substantiate before I can. Okay. So we have every 9, and we're gonna obviously the next stage is going to be a tshuva. Okay. You have to just figure out where. Okay. Let's take answers.
I'll say Talmud Roma.
Correct. Is that what you guys came up with?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a tshuva. Next.
Pshita.
Pshita, correct. Okay. This is a very important function word. And it is what? Kushya. Very important. So I always like to say, I've said it now, I've said it many times before, any kushya will be based either on a source or logic. 80% of the time I don't know 80%, many times when a kushya is based on logic, it will be introduced with this word, which is, it's superfluous. This is obvious. Sometimes the kushya will be exactly one word long, just the word Pshita. It won't even need to explain itself. It'll be, this is so obvious, meaning it was unnecessary. You are wrong to say that this is what it's teaching us, because that would be ridiculous, because that is obvious. Which is basically saying, why is this not obvious? And then sometimes it will just be the word Pshita. It's such a powerful thing, it just says Pshita. In this case, it actually elaborates and tells us why it's so obvious. Okay? We don't know yet what. We're going to see that soon. Okay.
Isn't it pretty disrespectful? I mean, like, it's like in modern day, it's like you moron. It's
duh.
So yeah, no, that's what it is. That's exactly what a pshita is. I like that. I mean, he said duh. That's exactly what a pshita is. Right.
I've heard of what these rabbis call each other. It's like,
okay. Yes, there are some places where this is, yeah.
Gets it civilized.
So if I were to be a little more, let's say, you're saying Pshita is like, isn't this obvious? With the two words being, no. And this is why it's not obvious. Although even that, sometimes, a lot of times when it says just the word Pshita, Rashi will still have to give us an explanation why this is so obvious. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have, so where do we think that ends? The kushya ends? Yep, the tema, very good. Which is our teretz, right? Because logically speaking, we're saying this is obvious, and then with the response being, no, you would have said, meaning if I didn't teach you this, then you would have said the following. That's why it's not obvious. Okay, these are our new function words that we've learned. Okay, these are our new. This is a new structure that we've learned. Pshita and Ma'odatema. Many times they will go together. Many times they will go together. Okay, I'm gonna try next week to bring a couple of unseens so we can practice the structures that we did from last 2 or 3 classes. So we get used to seeing them, so we actually remember them. But a lot of times Pshita Ma'odatema, Pshita will be the response of Pshita will be Ma'odatema, or a version of that. Okay? So there you go. We got a Kushi, we got a Teretz. Okay, what's after our Teretz? Let's see.
Should be there.
Just a second. Oh, just a second. Excuse me a second. Don't look. Okay. Good. Okay. We've now finished the structure. Let me just make sure that was right. Just a second. Yeah.
What does Kaf Lam mean?
Kamash Malan.
I've never understood this.
Okay, the word. Okay, I wanted to search in. Okay. Oh, you're married to a math teacher, right? So.
I married a math teacher.
What? You made a math teacher.
I thought you said Tanakh teacher.
No, math teacher. So you won't be able to do this. So I don't know what the phrase is. What?
She was not a math teacher.
Whatever. No, I don't know what the phrase is in English. Do you know, like in algebra, when you're doing a problem, and you have you start off with saying this is what we need to prove, and then you're going to start solving it, and after, at least in Hebrew, there's this phrase that after you finish the final stage of the proof, at least in Hebrew, there's a 3-letter acronym.
What is it?
I can't remember the word.
You know what I'm talking about, right? That you write this acronym that proves this thing. That's it. I have now solved and proved everything that needs to be proved.
Yes, I remember doing it with geometry, and so this.
Yeah, geometry. And at the end, you write. Do you know what I'm talking about? Anyone know what I'm talking about?
No, it's like the 3 dots. Therefore. No. There's a different phrase. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
So I know what it is.
What is this phrase in Hebrew?
It's like this. It's Mem Shin Lamed, which is Ma Sheratzinu Lochiach. What we wanted to prove. You finish a problem in geometry, in Hebrew you write Mem Shin Lamed, which proves that you have now written the last stage and you're complete. That's what this is. Mashma literally means ka mashma lan. Lan is us. Mashma is to hear, like lishma. Ka means hear. Not here as in H-E-A-R, as in H-E-R-E. Okay, so literally kamash malan. How does it translate kamash malan?
Scripture informs us.
What?
Well, it's got a whole sentence, but the one that's bolded is Scripture informs us. Therefore,
it's not a translation. It's not a translation.
Therefore, to teach that this is not the case.
Kamash malan means it's almost like saying that's what we wanted. That's what it's trying to teach us. After it proved the whole thing, it says that's what it came to teach us. Meaning that's what that's what this came to teach us. You think it kamash malan, but it's like okay, it came to teach us. But it's actually after you've finished the whole argument, it says that's what it's come to teach us.
It's almost like I rest my case.
Almost, yeah.
I just translated him to Russian.
You know
I know in Russian. Now I know.
There's
Like that's the
То,
point.
что требуется
You know
доказать.
I know that in Russian. I'm trying to think what's the English.
Okay, so we know it in Hebrew now. We have it in Hebrew and in Russian. Come on, Canadian, native Canadians, what's going on?
But they don't say it in modern Hebrew, though.
What?
They don't say it in modern Hebrew, no?
This?
Oh, you did
In math, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, shit, it's
Until you write that, like this proves that you've now, to the teacher that now I've finished, I've been traumatized. That's one of the few things I remember from geometry and math is that phrase, because it means that I'm done.
I never got to that stage. I don't know.
You never proved it.
Okay.
I never proved anything. I couldn't do geometry very well.
Okay. Okay. We now have our we have a structure. As you can see, it's very it's really very, very simple. There's no even need to even make a flow chart here. It's just a question, an answer, a kushya, teretz. It's just a box, each one leading to the next one. Okay? So now we have 10 minutes. And let's and I don't know if we'll get to the whole thing, but let's just go ahead and try. Just start trying to read it and learn it on your own. But again, you read what. Now let's remember what we do, how we do the next stage. The next stage is you read the first whole section because you now know where it begins and where it ends. You read the whole first section and then you say, okay, we've just read a question. Let's try to understand the question. Okay, and then say, okay, we've understood the question. Let's now read the whole answer and try to understand it, and so on and so forth. And basically all the words here you know already. So if there's any words here that you know what? There are 10 minutes. Let's just do it together. Okay? Okay. I'll read out loud. You guys will explain. Okay? Everyone ready?
Yep.
Okay. So, I'm starting Tanur Banan. Minayin she'im hayu lo 5 banim me-5 nashim shechayav livdot et kulan. So what's the question? What's im hayu lo?
If there was.
Right, if he has 5 banim
5 sons
me-5 nashim.
from
5 wives.
Right. Just a second. Shechayav livdot et kulan.
He's obligated to redeem all of them.
Okay, there we go. So, simple question. Okay, meaning a man has 5 children. Okay, from 5 different women. Does he have to do 1 pidyon or 5 pidyons? We're basically saying, from where do we know that if a man has 5 sons from 5 different women, either he's married to 5 women, or he got divorced 4 times, or he got widowed 4 times, or he got divorced twice and widowed twice. He's had a hard life. Or even, you know what? I'm saying even there's actually an interesting case. Even if it was none of it, even if he had 5 illegitimate children out of wedlock, that's the only difference. A man had 5 sons from 5 women. So the rabbis taught us. From where do we know that a man, now why are they phrasing it this way? I don't know. They could have easily phrased it. A man who has 5, they could have said like this. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught. A man who has 5 sons from 5 different women must redeem them all. As it says, pa-pa-ta-ta-ta-ta. For whatever reason, the rabbi of the time of the Mishnah decided not to phrase it this way. Why? I don't know. Maybe he was trying to keep people's interest. Maybe it was a response to something earlier, but we're only getting part of the quote. Doesn't make a difference. But a rabbi who lived during the time of the Mishnah, of the Tanaim, said the following. From where do we know that a man who has 5 children from 5 different women must do pidyon ben to all of them? Okay, now what's going to start now? Talmud Lomar.
The answer.
Okay? Meaning from this we say, okay, or Talmud Lomar, or that we, actually this translation is a little bit off. We learned from the Torah.
This we learned from.
This we learned what? Right. This we learned from. Okay. This we learned from Kol bechol banecha tifdeh. So this is a quote from the Torah. What does the pasuk mean? Kol bechol banecha tifdeh.
All your sons,
firstborn
sons.
All the firstborn of your sons you shall redeem. So where's from where is the proof, or from where is the answer? Kol bechol banecha tifdeh. Right?
All.
That's that from there. Kol bechol banecha tifdeh.
Every time you have a new woman, you have a new.
Now.
Yes, but how do you know? It has to be from the woman's side as opposed to the man.
No, I don't think it matters.
Wait, what do you say? What do you say?
No, because I mean it has to be from. This is saying that it has to be from the woman's side, but it doesn't really say that.
So wait, so the Gemara does something very similar to what you just did, slightly different. Pshita says, "Isn't this obvious? Why?" Let's read the kushya. Bepeter rechem tala rachmana. Isn't this obvious that it goes by the woman. What is it? And this is the pasuk that I brought here.
Oh, yes.
Kadesh li kol bechor peter kol rechem. What is the mitzvah in the Torah? Sanctify for me all your firstborn, the first fruit of every
Womb.
Of
Womb.
every womb. So, yeah.
Okay, right? What is the Torah?
Right.
That the Torah depends the mitzvah on the fruit of the womb,
Yes.
not the father. This is not based on the father. Even though, interestingly, whose obligation is it? The father's obligation. But the condition of what defines someone who's it's the fruit of the womb. Okay, the first
fruit of every womb.
of every womb.
So the woman.
Animal, human, doesn't make a difference. Okay, just like the first fruit
Right.
of a tree also becomes bikurim, or becomes, right? Becomes,
Oh, I see Bachor from Bikurim.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
So if the woman remarries, she already has son.
Doesn't make a
the
difference if
first
she's married or
husband.
not. The first male
Okay.
to be born, to come out of a womb.
Okay, got it.
And as long as there wasn't everything as we've said, as long as there wasn't a miscarriage, and as long as there,
What about mamzer? Would mamzer qualify?
Absolutely.
Okay.
absolutely,
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
So if she was married before and now she marries another man, so the first,
Doesn't make a difference. It's nothing to do with marriage. It's nothing to do with marriage.
it's his firstborn.
No,
No, it's
the first fruit of the womb.
out of her womb. Out of everyone. The first fruit.
So
out
if
of
she was
everyone.
married before,
Has
Doesn't
nothing to
matter.
do with marriage.
and if she had children before, that's
No, that's not a first.
No. The
born.
first fruit of her it is a biological. It's biological. It's not legal. It's not halachic. It's biological. The first fruit of the woman's womb, if it is a male and it's natural birth, it's not a C-section, there's no miscarriage beforehand, yada yada yada. First fruit of the womb.
okay.
So that's the kushya. Understand? The pasuk is explicit. The pasuk, when it introduces the mitzvah, says, "What is the mitzvah? Fruit of the womb." So why do you need to come and tell me? From where do we know that if a man has 5 women, has 5 sons from 5 women, needs to do it 5 times? Why would you think otherwise? The definition of what this mitzvah is.
Right.
When the mitzvah is introduced, how is it introduced? Fruit of the womb.
Right.
So of course, if 5, you don't need to tell me, you don't need to say a man, just say, if 5 women have 5 boys, they have to, each son needs a pidyon. Obviously.
Right.
Right? It's as if you would have to, it's as if the Gemara is saying, let me tell you, I have a big chiddush. If 5 women have 5 sons, then there are 5 kids in the world who need to have pidyon haben. Duh. Meaning, excuse me, if 5 women each have a firstborn son, each one of them has to have a pidyon haben. Yes, we know. It's called, it's about, and I have a pasuk to teach you this. And you give me some other pasuk. All of your firstborn need. That's duh.
But the quote that they're giving is not even a full quote.
Right.
Rechem.
Called what?
The quote to back that.
Right. No, it doesn't even quote it. You don't have a dichtiv there. It just says, yeah, the Torah hinges, that's the real, it shouldn't be dependent, hinges the mitzvah on the first fruit of the womb. So why are you telling me a man has 5 children from 5 women? Who cares about the man? Does the man have a womb? No. The Torah hinged this mitzvah on the womb. What difference does it make that the man married 5, they had 5 children? The man is insignificant to this mitzvah. Well, he's needed for the performance of the mitzvah, but for the fact that this mitzvah exists in the world, he can just be a test tube. It makes no difference.
That's a good question. What if it's a non-Jew or a test tube? Still, pidyon haben is needed.
If it's non-Jew, then no.
All right.
I think. Pretty sure. Yeah. Oh,
Why
Who
is
is
that?
not
Because
Jew?
if you
Father or
follow your
mother?
mother.
Father.
what?
Why is that though? You follow your mother. Lineage.
Oh.
Because, interesting question. I'm almost certain that if I'm I'm certain I don't know why. I'm certain. I know it. In the back of my mind, I have that, when you have that, it's like, I know it. Deep down inside, I know it from somewhere. I don't remember why.
Medical procedures like egg,
Mm-hmm.
or other things that are not natural.
But if the sperm comes from a Jewish man, then
he's considered
the fact that there's intermediate stages in the middle doesn't make a difference. It still relates to him.
Except that the father is obligated, so he's the.
What?
You do need a father because the father performs the mitzvah.
He's obligated it. Other people can perform it.
Right.
He's obligated it. Okay. Even the mother could perform it. She's just not obligated to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it's slave woman?
If it's what?
If she's slave woman, she's not Jewish, and man, he is Jewish.
Then
is he obligated to do this mitzvah?
If she's not Jewish,
like slave girl.
Why not? Even not. The thing, a Jewish man marries a non-Jewish woman, and impregnates her.
Yeah.
No, that absolutely not. But okay, I mean, I don't remember from where we learned it, but we learned about both these things. But let's continue. Yep. We're almost done. Okay, just a second. Okay, so now it says Pshita lepeterechem talachmana. It's obvious. The Torah hinges this mitzvah on peterechem, on the fruit of the womb. So this is obvious. What are you trying to teach me? You tell me something. You tell me that this pasuk is here to teach me that. I don't need that pasuk for that. I have the original pasuk to teach me that. So it can't be that that's what the Kush is saying. It can't be. You are wrong. That this pasuk is trying to teach me this halacha. I know that halacha already. Okay. So the Gemara answers. The Gemara teretz ma'od tema. Nela bechol minachala. Okay, this okay. What time is it?
9:02.
Okay. There is a structure. There's a concept called Gzera Shava. Okay. Gzera Shava is something that we haven't seen yet. I don't think so. We haven't seen it yet. Which when we have two similar words, or two identical words in two different psukim. And sometimes come and say, well, if the same word, which is either a unique word or something about it is reminiscent of it, sometimes we'll take two words in two different places and come and say, well, if this word appears here and the same word appears over there, then they must have similar rulings, similar laws. So the Gemara is saying, well, Ma'odetema, I would have said that I would learn bechol from Nachala. I would learn the similarity between the laws of firstborn by us and the laws of firstborn and inheritance. And it says, what would we learn from inheritance? And it's saying, I might have said, the case over here with the firstborn is just like a firstborn in an inheritance case. And what is the case of a firstborn in an inheritance case? Goes on to say, second. Ma'odetema, I'm going back. What you might have said that we should learn to our word bechor, firstborn, from the firstborn of Nachala. Ma'lehalan rashit ono. What over there in inheritance, it is rashit. You go by rashit ono. You go by who is considered to be the Bechor, the firstborn. It goes by the father. The pasuk over there explicitly says that is the firstborn, translated as his first potency, okay, meaning his first son. Afkan rashitono. I would say that also over here, the din of Bechor, of a firstborn, is based on him. So I would have thought, basically, it's saying, it's the first fruit of her womb, who is also his firstborn. Because although yes, I would say, of course it's the fruit of the womb, but I would think it's a combination of the fruit of her womb, who is also his firstborn. In which case, only the first woman he had a child with, we would say, is chayav and Pidyo haben. Therefore, it needs to say, kol bechol banei chativdeh. All of the your firstborn. How can you have many firstborn? Because in this case of Pidyo and Ben, it doesn't go by you, the father. It goes just by the woman. And therefore, it is not obvious. Because if I did not tell you, Kol bechor banecha tivdeh, if I would have just said, Bechor banecha tivdeh, then I would say, oh, it's a combination of, you have to have two factors. Both of mother's first, the woman's first fruit of her womb, and the father's first potency.
But didn't we learn long ago, I mean, in the previous page, that wasn't, when they bring the verses, that it's not that they prove that it's really dependent on the mother. Maybe I'm mixing things up, sorry. So that it's, haven't we already learned this before? That it's the firstborn, or the...
No, you are right. We've learned...
We've used
you are very correct. But we use it for something else. We learned from this phrase, Banecha velo benotecha.
Okay.
We had that whole circular stage, that four stages, saying from where do we know that she's exempt? Because it says tivdeh tipadeh, tipadeh tivdeh.
Okay,
so we didn't use this verse, but over here we're learning from this.
Okay.
So yes, right. I mean, you're right. It seems like a very crowded verse.
Okay.
Yes, many verses are.
I thought you can't learn more than one thing from a verse. You can?
Sure, of course. Okay, sometimes we learn multiple things from a single word. And the fact that it can be read this way and that way, and but there's a yud, so when it could have had without a yud, so therefore it's teaching us two things. We'll see a bunch of those. Okay, so like I said, small sugya. Next week, what we're going to do, God willing, is I want us to first practice reading the last sugya and this sugya, just to run through it and remember the structures and the content. And I'm gonna, God willing, I'm gonna bring two short unseens that use those same structures, so we can practice these structures so they really become embedded in our mind and that we really acquire them as fundamental structures, because that's what enables you to actually learn Gemara long term. That you identify these structures, you know what to expect. You see a Pshita, you know the concept of it. It's obvious, and then the teretz is going to be, no, it's not obvious, because if we wouldn't have told you this, this is what I would have thought. This is the mistake I would make, and therefore, so on and so forth. Okay.
Thank you.
Everyone have a good night.